Good morning, friends and foes. This is Back in the Cereal Box. I am your host, the prophet of pop culture, Johnny. You can come in, join us, grab a big bowl of cereal, because this morning we are going to be talking about the legacy of Jonny Quest. And we are going to do that right after this from our friends, the Murdering Crows.
It's like Coca-Cola, Levi Strauss, Johnny Carson and Mickey Mouse. The first star was James Dean. Elvis Presley, yeah, he's still the king. Some things are only imitatable. You can't beat an original. Oh, you can't beat an original.
All right, friends and foes, that awesome theme song is courtesy of our good friends, the Murdering Crows. You can get their album, Four Bad Crows, at Amazon, iTunes, Google, or anywhere you buy music. And, of course, we want to thank our Cereal Box super friends, Cade Hawkins, Eli Cash, Cindy Kep, Sharice Collins, Dave Mattingly. They make this show possible, and you can join them and have your name in lights at buymeacoffee.com/cerealboxpod. And of course, to you also brought, And of course, also brought to you by the Tales of the Decoverse book series from Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I get a little bit tang-tangled there. I don't know. It was like a spell of dyslexia all of a sudden. That was very funny. Anyway, this is Back in the Cereal Box, the pop culture podcast that celebrates the fun of the Saturdays of our youth. I'm John Pica, the prophet of pop culture. You can call me Johnny. And I grew up on Saturday mornings with big bowls of cereal, cartoons, comic books, kaiju movies, and we didn't have smartphones or tablets at the breakfast table when I was a kid. We were reading the back of the cereal box in between cartoons, comics, and kaiju. That was our world. That was our portal to pop culture. And who am I? Well, Avengers comic books and Star Wars movies and Saturday morning cartoons made me who I am today. And that's why I am here to take you on a journey back to the past and reintroduce you to some of the favorite things of our youth, or maybe introduce you to some things that you've missed and some new stuff along the way. And to help me, I've got a great co-host, Willow Schuyler, all the way from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, via the magic of the internet. She is your emotional support Canadian, the Peppermint Princess, the social media socialite. Give it up for the fan of Turtles and Power Rangers and X-Men and all things superhero. She is Willow Schuyler.
Happy Canada Day!
Happy Canada Day. What is that?
That is my Canada Day Care Bear.
Canada Day Care Bear. That is fantastic. Now, I forgot to mention, I am trying for the first time this morning the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem cereal. What is in your bowl?
I am eating the Cinnamon Toast Crunch graham slop.
You start too early. You start too early. What's the box look like? Do you have that to show the back?
Oh, I put it back. I can see if I can find a picture of it.
Because I want to show you this. This is the back of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem box, and it's got a game. So this is a game. This is a cereal with marshmallows, and so you put a marshmallow on the starting point right here, every player, and then you flip a coin, and if you get heads, you move 1, tails, you move 2, and the first one to make it to defeat the Super Beast wins.
Interesting.
And, yeah. And along the way, you go back, anyway. Could be fun. So I'm going to try this for the first time this morning. As I'm queuing that up, let's welcome our guest co-host this morning. She is back. We might keep her. She is an amazing cosplayer from Middle Tennessee and all-around swell person. She is a great friend of mine, and she is an uber geek of all things pop culture. The one, the only, Audrey Cabot. And apparently Aubrey is sitting in I don't know, there's something going on with her lights where it's like cycling through. I feel a little bit.
She's in the club.
Yeah.
She's in the breakfast club.
I love it.
Rave.
Good morning, Aubrey. What's in your bowl this morning?
Good morning. So one of the things I found out about Jonny Quest is he had something to do with Cheerios years and years and years and years ago.
Really?
And this is a limited edition honey vanilla Cheerios with a heart shape, apparently. So
honey vanilla Cheerios. So I love Honey Nut Cheerios.
Okay, it's really hearts. It's actually tiny little hearts.
Wait, here, let's bring you up on that. Oops, I messed that up. I'm not used to these new layouts, Willow.
Yeah, I know.
There we go. The tiny hearts. Excellent. So for those of you who are just listening, Aubrey is holding up the Cheerios that are heart-shaped. Honey vanilla.
Yeah, limited edition.
Now, what's on the back? Cheerios are pretty much a boring back of the box.
It really is. It did not.
Yeah. Yeah.
It didn't disappoint on the boring this time. But
yeah.
Always about health.
Yeah.
And this time it is sweetened, but I do use, by the way, just to let people know, I do usually use almond or rice milk or something. Oh!
I'm the only one who actually has dairy in her cereal.
Well, for me, it's all about calorie count. A cup of almond milk only has 80 calories, and I use about a half. So I'm looking at 40 calories, and a 1 cup serving of this cereal has 140 calories. So I can have a big bowl and stay right under 300 calories. Okay. By the way, I'm trying this for the first time. This is, it is a cinnamon apple flavor. And for those of you who are just listening, this is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem cereal. And it's got this great image of the new movie Turtles coming out. Super excited about it. And of course, the board game on the back that I described. But this is a honey apple flavored, a cinnamon apple flavored cereal with marshmallows. And unlike other General Mills cereals, this is bursting with flavor. However, I'm not sure it's a flavor I like.
Does it taste like turtle soup?
No. It does taste like cinnamon and apples. It tastes exactly like what it is described as. But I don't know that I like apple-flavored cereal in the morning. Especially after I've just brushed my teeth. When I tried it dry, it was very sour.
I love this comment. Thanks, Dave. When you open your TMNT cereal, don't get a splinter.
And that is courtesy of Dave Mattingly. And oh my gosh, we've already gotten overrun with comments almost. So before we do that, I want to talk about let me see, where'd it go? Oh, no, this is the old outline. What happened? Did it not save the new outline? Oh, here we go. No. What? No, okay, there we go. Oh my gosh. This morning, you guys, last night was we had nature's fireworks in Middle Tennessee. We had the most wicked lightning storm I've ever seen in my entire life.
Really pretty.
My mind went totally somewhere else. I'm sorry.
No, there was actual fireworks. Dangerous, but also lightning everywhere. We were driving through downtown Nashville.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I feel like it's been a chaotic week here in Middle Tennessee. But so I forgot to mention that everyone who is watching or listening, you can contribute. You can be a part of the show by watching the live stream on Saturday mornings, and you can actually be a part of the show by posting a comment, just like the one that we read from Dave Mattingly. And we're going to get to viewer comments in just a little bit. And you know what? Kate Hawkins, I'm going to have to have a conversation with Cade, because there it is. Oh my gosh. The banner is running down below. If you want to support us at buymeacoffee.com/cerealboxpod. Cade, I'm kidding. Don't get upset. Cade did some rearranging in the studio a couple of weeks ago, not knowing that when he rearranges his studio, it rearranges everybody else's. So
Just
that's
the banner part.
What's that?
Just the banner part.
Well, no. There's some other things that get rearranged as well. But I'm going to try something here. Oh, it works. My custom layout works. Excellent. Let's see if this works. Yay! I was able to rebuild it because StreamYard got rid of this layout, Willow. But I rebuilt it as a custom layout, and it works. I'm so happy. Oh, Johnny's a genius. All right. So what are we doing this morning? We're talking about comic books, cartoons, kaiju movies. And did you guys know that today, July 1st, Pluto TV just launched a brand new channel of 24/7 Godzilla movies and TV shows.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. I love Godzilla movies, and we don't talk about Godzilla enough on the show. We really don't, and we need to, because I'm a member of several Godzilla groups on Facebook, and they are the most active, engaged groups I've ever been a part of. And so I need
to track down my science teacher, Mr. Leeds, who showed us nonstop Godzilla movies, and he actually was one of the ones that wrote for or created the magazine of Godzilla.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So, Mr. Leeds, if you're around and you see this, and you please come on our show, this would be awesome.
That would be awesome. Well, one of the things, so I'm getting to a point here. One of the things we did as a kid on Saturday mornings, or as soon as we got the cereal box home, we would crack that open, avoiding the splinters, reach in, dig around, pull out the prize, right? Well, this week, I've got a very special prize in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cereal box, and that is, speaking of Godzilla, back issue Breakfast Club this morning. So this is Godzilla Rivals, the trade paperback, and this is an anthology collection. It came out in single one-shot issues. Like I've got over here, I've got some of the newer one-shots like Godzilla versus Gigan and Biolante versus Destroya. Phenomenal, but this series, Godzilla Rivals, has been great, and they're just one-shot stories, different writers, different artists, and so you get this really great variation of style. But this is my favorite story. It is Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, and basically both of them are being controlled with devices, and this is a kaiju wrestling match in a stadium in front of an audience, and it's being televised, and really, really fun. But for all of our Godzilla fans out there, this series pretty much has something for everybody. And I typically have not liked movie properties being translated to comic form, but this is one series that I have really, really loved. And I'm trying to find this one panel, just some great action there. Godzilla Rivals to commemorate Pluto's Godzilla 24/7 Godzilla channel, and a little something for our Godzilla fans in the audience. You're welcome. Ta-da! Any of you guys have any prizes from the cereal box this morning?
No, I kind of overspent at Toys R Us like last week, so I had to pay bills. I have to be an adult and pay bills.
Oh, adulting is overrated.
really
Aubrey, what do you got?
Well, as you know, I dabble in cosplay, and one of my favorite characters is Poison Ivy. And I found this, well, older for me, because I don't have a lot of older comics from her, but this is one of the older Batmans. And it had, you can hear the plastic. I haven't opened it yet.
So Aubrey is showing us the Batman comic still sealed in plastic on a backing board. What issue number is that, Aubrey?
Okay. Right there. That is issue 367.
And for those of you who can't see, it's the front cover has Batman basically being overcome by vines and leaves, and you know, it's a slight case of poison ivy. Now
it does have some really interesting backgrounds on this. Take a look at this.
Yeah, so
you want to talk about old school, right?
Aubrey is showing us an ad on the back of the comic for the Power Lords action figure series, which was a failed series.
This is really cool artwork, though, and advertisement. But here's a little. So the old Poison Ivy. Oh. Yeah. Digging
now,
it.
Do we know anything about this issue? Was this a first appearance, or do you know anything about that?
This was an older appearance. This is one of the very first times. Because she did show up a good bit. And here's another. This is another reason why I bought this. So it's supposed to have old advertisement on here. And take a look at that.
A Bubble Yum ad.
Bubble Yum. Back in the day. Unscramble the Fun. Do you remember doing these? Did anybody do these?
Yeah. This is one of the things I miss about modern comics is they don't have ads like this anymore.
Yes,
so
cool.
By the way, who's the writer on that? Is that a Chuck Dixon? I can tell the inker on that is Dick Goriano.
Hannigan and yeah, it was Hannigan.
Giorani, Dick Giorani. Actually, nobody can pronounce that, but we all know who that is. Yeah, and he's clearly the inker on that. He's got such a distinct style.
Yeah, another one, Masters of the Universe.
Oh, she's showing us the inside cover ad for the Masters of the Universe vehicles. Oh my gosh, the collectors in the audience just had
I know. I was trying to be so careful with the
attack.
pages.
She about dropped it.
I'm making myself sweat. I'm gonna put it down.
So, before we get to viewer comments, we need to share a little bit about our charity partner, Comic Books for Kids. And what a great segue since we're talking about comic books. Check this out.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.
Yay! And by the way, final verdict on the Mutant Mayhem cereal, because I just finished the little bit that I had. At the end of the day, I kind of like it. It's not my favorite, but I could go for another bowl right now. The longer it stays in the milk, the better the flavor. Although it turns the milk kind of a grayish green. I'm not a big fan of that. But I'll give this 4 bowls out of 5. Ooh. So go check it out. What about you, Aubrey? What's the verdict on the honey vanilla Cheerios?
Just sweet enough not to add too much sugar. But limited edition, so get it while it's here.
And out of 5 bowls of cereal, what would you give it?
I would eat this dry, so I'm going to actually say a 5 out of 5.
Oh, well, there we go. And Willow, what about you with the Cinnatoast Crunch French Toast Cinnagram or whatever?
I'm going to have to say this is a 5 out of 5 for cereal.
Anything with Cinnamon Toast Crunch is going to be,
Just the graham crackers, or the graham whatever they're using, it needs to be cooked a little bit longer so it's more crispy. It stays crispy in the milk.
I gotcha. I hear that. All right.
Or it has to have like a more of a candy coating on it.
Yeah, a cereal varnish. So we have a bunch of comments, and we're going to get through as many of these as we can. Of course, Dave Mattingly has chimed in early this morning. Good morning, Box Tops. Good morning, Dave Mattingly. And Zentron has joined us and says, morning all. Well, afternoon here. And Dave Mattingly says, oh, shucks, because we love Dave. And here's Kate Hawkins with Cartoon Commotion. Hiya, all, and good morning, he says. By the way, I do a great imitation of Cade. Hiya, friends! And Facebook user says good morning. And Facebook user also says, hi, Aubrey, woo!
Morning, friends.
Oh, can I do a shout out quickly? For Keisha. Keisha had her baby.
So for those of you who don't know, Keisha Acuff is the co-host of our other show, Cryptid Crunch with Willow, and she has been on maternity leave, and this week had baby Acuff. What is the name?
Oh, come on.
Great shout out there, Willow.
I will get her name.
Well, it just seems to be a baby boom. We are older generation, so I will say this is around the same time that, people are starting to figure out, okay, yeah, we're young looking, we're still alive. But
well, Keisha is still young. Now. Keisha is young. She's still a baby.
Oh,
herself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keisha's baby is named Eloise.
Oh, that's such a pretty name.
So she's got Dolores and Eloise. That sounds like a horror movie ready to happen.
Eloise Violet Acuff.
And for those of you who know Keisha Acuff and know the stories about her daughter Dolores, you know what I'm talking about. We're not going to get into it. So Dave Mattingly says, all Godzilla all the time on Pluto. Yes, I'm super excited about that. And Marie Knowles says, because Godzilla rules. Yes.
Ooh.
And Dave Mattingly says, of the Mutant Mayhem cereal, I'd be really impressed if the prize in the TMNT box was a katana, a sword. I would love a katana. I have one downstairs. I could have done that.
I'm pretty sure that's one of the reasons why they banned Kinder Surprises in your country.
Too much creativity, just a little. Ooh.
Yeah. Zentron says, up from the depths, 30 stories high, breathing fire, his head in the sky. Godzilla, 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 and Godzuki. And Dave Mattingly says, I generally do love Chuck Dixon's writing. His Mark Spector Moon Knight run was fantastic. But I think we established on that Batman that was not Chuck Dixon. Is that correct, Aubrey? I thought it was by the era, but I think you determined
it's got
that it was
Hannigan
not.
and Giordano on there.
So Hannigan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who that is. Dave Mattingly, do you recognize Hannigan as a Batman writing?
It says artist Don Newton and Alfredo Alcala.
Okay. So that's interesting. So Dick Goriano is one of the writers, not Chuck. Okay. But the inker on that still has that Dick Goriando style, which was a DC style that kind of like.
Oh my gosh, I missed this one. Check this out.
Oh my gosh! So this is going to tell us what year this was. So look at this. Look at this ad. So this would have been 1984 or 85.
This is amazing. I didn't even know this was in here. This is like true shout out to Saturday morning guys.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's interesting is during this Saturday Morning 101 series, keep that up, Aubrey. We've talked about every single one of those.
Yep. That's true.
Except we did not talk about the Incredible Hulk series. That was a short-lived series, and we have not talked about Thundar the Barbarian yet. But that is on the list. That is coming up. But every single one of those other shows we have done an episode about, and that's a good segue. So we are talking this morning about Saturday Morning 101, the Saturday Morning Cartoon Essentials. Right, Willow?
Yep.
And these are kind of the shows that, in not just my opinion, but the opinion of our viewers, of our fans, are the most important for someone to understand the Saturday morning experience from my generation. And so this morning, we are talking about the legend and the legacy of Jonny Quest. And this is the original Jonny Quest from 1964. So Saturday Morning 101 with the legacy of Jonny Quest. So originally aired in 1964 through 1965. It was, I believe there was actually three, like, quote unquote seasons, but they all happened within a short period of time. And it was followed in 1986 with the New Adventures of Jonny Quest, and then in 1996 with the Real Adventures of Jonny Quest. A couple of TV movies. 92 was Johnny's Golden Quest, and then 1995 Jonny Quest versus the Cyber Insects. And there was a direct-to-video crossover, Tom and Jerry Spy Quest. and that was a Tom and Jerry Jonny Quest crossover, which I have not seen. It is impossible to find, but I would love to see that.
It is the internet day, so I'm sure that we can find it somewhere.
I'm sure we can. I'm sure we can. So
I asked, the Star Wars Christmas can be special can be found on YouTube. I'm sure we can find this crossover.
I'm sure we can. I just haven't looked that hard, because I'm a big fan of physical media. So I'm putting on screen the core cast, and from left to right, we've got Race Bannon, 10-year-old Jonny Quest, his dog Bandit, and his best friend and adopted brother, also 10-year-old Haji. And then at the far right, Dr. Benton Quest. And I asked you guys to watch as many of this original 64 series as you could. And this week I had it playing on repeat in the office and falling in love with this. And I'm going to tell you guys that when I was a kid, I was not a Jonny Quest fan. Really? And I'll tell you why. Because it was in reruns when I was a kid. And even as a child, the art style was noticeably different. And it did not look or feel like the cartoons that I was really into. It had a much darker tone. It had, the bolder lines, the almost painterly style of illustration. I mean, look at this.
Yeah, gritty.
I mean, yeah, it's gorgeous artwork. But as a kid, I didn't appreciate it. Kind of like I didn't appreciate Jack Kirby's art. But as an adult, I have fallen in love with this series all over again. And I really believe that this show influenced everything else that came after it. And you really see the influence of Jonny Quest in shows like Danger Island, which was part of the Banana Splits in the 70s. Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark has Jonny Quest all over it. Batman, the animated series, borrowed from the noir pulp adventure style of artwork. And, even more recently, shows like Venture Brothers.
Oh, they're just a complete ripoff of it.
Yeah, they're a spoof. And Archer and Gravity Falls. They're all inspired by Jonny Quest in some form or fashion. But I want to know, Aubrey, you watched, I'm guessing, a couple of episodes. What was your first impression of Jonny Quest?
Well, my first opinion now is way different. See, I was that little girl that kind of woke up and watched rerun cartoons when I was younger. Ginger didn't always play outside right away, So I really loved the action in Jonny Quest when I was younger. I liked the dynamic, but it always seemed to reach in an area that I didn't get when I was younger. Now that I have gone back and watched it, I'm going to tell you, I watch it for a whole different reason. The backgrounds are amazing. Okay. The artist, Doug Wildey, that's in charge of this art for this animation. Let me tell you, I'm excited really because I'm an anime fan. And in anime, one of the huge differences between American animation is the backgrounds look like paintings, like the really good ones. It just feels like you're in there, like you stepped in from an oil painting and it's come to life. And the scores of music are the other reason why I'm kind of really in love with this. First of all, I have a little soft spot for jazz. Okay. And there is a lot of horns in this. There is a lot. And the artist, not only did Doug Wildey bring a bunch of people in, but the music scores were like a full band. They were a full band. So you had this dynamic while they're running. It wasn't just, background music. It wasn't sounds. It was like a full movie, but in cartoon form. So it really took an adult kind of grittiness, like a Sin City almost darkness to it, and brought it there. And that is actually Doug Wildey's influence.
Yeah, yeah. You hit right on it. This show does not feel like and watch like a kid's cartoon. It was, listen, the first episode, 4 people were murdered in the first minute and a half. This thing plays like a contemporary pseudoscience action adventure movie that we would watch today. If they re-released Jonny Quest from the 60s on TV today, I think it would find a whole new audience who love, you know, a little bit heavier action adventure. It was very deep. It was very heavy. It was very dark. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But Willow, what did you think of Jonny Quest? Had you seen it before?
I have. I would watch these older cartoons. I don't know. I remember like there was like Archie and Friends playing. I would also like I love classic TV. So as soon as Cartoon Network came out with their classic cartoon channel, I sat there in front of the TV for hours watching all kinds of cool cartoons. So it's Jonny Quest was one of them. And I even remember watching the one in '96 that came out and loved that one. But I don't know, something about Jonny Quest has always been kind of in and out of pop culture pretty much all my life. So
yeah, he's one of those IPs that it has this really devoted fan following, but for whatever reason has never like really captured mainstream media, and I can't really figure out why. Someone in the comments might be able to add some insight, but you know, there are some pretty cool things about this show. Like, for example, I felt like this. I've always felt like this, that Race Bannon on the far left there, I always felt like he was inspired by Steve McQueen, who is the coolest badass on the planet to ever grace a screen in Hollywood. So I did some research, and sure enough, he was intended to be a Steve McQueen archetype. And there was some talk of them doing a Jonny Quest live movie with Steve McQueen playing Race Bannon. So I picked up on that right away. One of the things that I always remembered in my mind was that Dr. Benton Quest, you know, I always felt like he was just kind of a nerd character, but he was not. He was as much an adventurer and tough guy as Race Bannon was. Oh yeah. He dove into adventure, you know, from a scientific standpoint. But he was, you know, strong and courageous, and I had not remembered him being like that. Now, here's what I love, okay? So the first episode, the Lizard Men, we learn that in that episode that Benton Quest is a high-profile scientific asset for the American government. Yep. And that he is a widow. Johnny's mother passed away at some point. And because Quest is such a high-profile asset, Race Bannon was assigned by the federal government to be his bodyguard, and bodyguard specifically to Jonny Quest, because they were afraid that if Johnny was compromised, that it would compromise Dr. Benton Quest. So Race Bannon was there specifically to protect, tutor, and train Johnny. Yep. And I love that. I love that whole thing. And in that first episode, he's given Johnny judo lessons and, you know, teaching him how to fight. But we didn't meet Haji in the first episode.
Nope.
Haji was not in the first episode. He was not in the show until the second episode. And they never really gave him a proper introduction, I felt like. He just was all of a sudden there as Johnny's best friend. But we find out later, and I know this from later research and stories, that he was actually the adopted son of Benton Quest. So they're actually stepbrothers. But one of the things that we see in the very first appearance of Haji is he pulls a full-size bone out of Bandit's ear. And of course, Bandit is a little, what is that, a French bulldog. And he reaches in and pulls out this gigantic, I'm holding up my fingers about 8 inches apart, this gigantic bone from behind. And look, I know the magic principles as a magician to do that, but the way they illustrated it, it was not using sleight of hand. He made it literally appear from air. And so the theory has always been that Haji truly was and truly did have magical abilities, magic powers. But one of the theories that I have seen over the years is that Haji may have been part jinn. What do you guys think of that?
Okay, go ahead, Willow.
No, go. I need to look this up just for a quick second.
Okay.
So go ahead and.
So I did my research a little bit on Haji, and while I think that is a wonderful and fanciful line of thought that we could go on, that Haji was this jinn, because now I kind of want to read a fan fiction about this. But so Haji comes from a royal family, actually. Yes. So the research that I did showed that you got some really important characters around Haji. His mom, Haji's name is Hanji Singh with an H at the end, the word Singh with an H. That's his actual full name. And the reason why he was found in the middle of nowhere, seemingly, is because he was whisked away by a character, Pansha, I believe is his name. And this character was an assassin that just whisked him away from his family, his wealthy royal family, because he was an assassin. He was supposed to come and kill this kid. And Haji just, I guess he fell in love with him. He felt sorry for him. So he didn't kill him. He just stole him away from his royal family. And apparently his mom, Haji's mom, could do the same thing that Haji could. So that magic, that mysticism, she was capable of doing that too. But he never went back to his family because apparently he became a child without parents. He must have gotten killed. They don't specify that exactly, but he was adopted and became instantaneously part of the family.
And Dave Mattingly says, Aubrey, if you're going to adopt a kid, adopt a prince.
I agree wholeheartedly.
That's what I figured about Haji. And I don't, of all the episodes that I've watched, I don't remember there being a true backstory for him. For his name, Singh, he would be a Sikh.
Ooh, okay.
And so there's, I don't know if they really deal with magic so much in that religion, but yeah, there is.
So Willow, this will be a good episode for Cryptid Crunch, because we need to talk about the Persian mythology. The Sikhs in particular have legends of these desert demons that have been reported by soldiers who were fighting in the Gulf War. Operation Desert Storm. We'll have to get into that. But yeah, there is a lot of mythology and mysticism in the Middle Eastern religion.
I can probably track down someone who would know about this.
I do have a tiny tidbit of information about Race Bannon.
Okay.
So I got really excited about this because I like older TV, a lot black and white. A very famous actor was the kind of amalgamation of the human version called Jeff Chandler. So if you have a chance to look up Jeff Chandler, he is actually the physical embodiment of Race Bannon. The one who played the voice for him was Mike Road. And if you add white hair to Mike Road, he's not far off from that. And he did do Dragnet, which, you know, as a girl who liked Spy versus Spy when I was little, Dragnet was like a hop, skip, and a jump right there. You know, I had a thing for, you know, gadgets and what Inspector Gadget. I mean, Willow, come on.
Yeah.
Okay, right there. Like a guy with gadgets and a brain was always my thing as a young girl. So Race Bannon was inspired by two characters previously. It was Stretch Bannon, and he was a car driver, and Eddie Race, who was a detective. Both of those were from old comics, and it was kind of like a marrying of these two characters.
Okay.
And so Race Bannon became this like super wonderful, powerful, like spy guy, and then he goes and he's a babysitter for a scientist and his son, and gets to go on all these amazing adventures. And he's an amazing guy. He's got this really cute girlfriend who keeps popping in occasionally. And she makes a big deal about that. She's got black hair. She's, yes, Jezebel. Oh my goodness. Crush. Okay. I got a crush instantly when I saw this character. All the attitude, you know, she looks like she can handle herself in any situation. And she comes in saying, I have to see Mr. Bannon. And Race's name, by the way, guys, is Roger T. Bannon, just to let you know. He's a pretty cool guy. I would definitely check out more if you're really going to be into it, because his dynamic with Johnny is actually based on the old black and white movies with the Jackie Cooper, the young actor, and his kind of uncle relationship with the older actors that he played with. And that's like back in the 1930s and 40s. So it was really inspired by radio shows and The Mystery Guy. And Milton Caniff was a huge part in inspiring that, like, Race Bannon kind of gritty, you know, I'm going to do everything attitude. But he's a great uncle. He's right there. He's right-hand man.
Yeah, so that's an interesting point about the influences that led to Jonny Quest. You know, Jonny Quest is a quintessential pulp action adventure story. It is those old radio dramas come to life. Terry and the Pirates and, you know, all of that stuff. But, and it's obvious you see those influences in Jonny Quest to that point. And then from Jonny Quest forward, you see all of the influence it had on pop culture going forward. I find it to be a very interesting circle of influence. And I feel like the character, I'm not going to spoil it, but I saw Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and Helena Shaw, I feel like, was heavily inspired by Jezebel.
I'm excited.
Have you seen it yet, Aubrey?
No, but if she's inspired by her, I'm excited for it.
I think you're going to see a lot of inspiration from the Jezebel character in Helena Shaw. By the way, Dial of Destiny was phenomenal.
I've been seeing a lot of good things about it on my feed, so
yeah, go see it. Go see it. So
maybe we'll do that tonight, because everybody will be out celebrating Canada Day and the theaters will be empty.
There you go. There you go. Help make this a #1 smash hit, because movies have not been doing too well this year, except for animated movies. Spider-Man and Super Mario Brothers are the only two that have, like, exceeded expectations. Everything else, even Fast X and The Flash and Transformers and
everything. The Flash has its own issues.
Yeah, but everything else is failed miserably or not met expectations. Now, Willow, this is one thing that I was hoping you would pick up on and maybe comment on, because you're a little bit of a skeptic when it comes to the paranormal and supernatural, and that was always the kind of the premise of the stories here. Every story was a standalone story, and every story had a beginning, middle, and end. So it wasn't narrative, it was episodic. But every conflict involved the government calling in Dr. Benton Quest to go investigate whatever phenomenon it was happening. And of course, he was a scientist, he was a super scientist, but he was also very interested in the marriage or the conversion of the paranormal, the supernatural, and science. And I found that to be a really cool kind of amalgamation. And that's kind of what we see in the Indiana Jones character, right? Mm-hmm. But did you pick up on that, Willow? And what do you think about that?
Each episode seemed to deal with something either spiritual or monsterish, and you know what? I like the idea of them going like head on, and it's like, yes, I will go and find out what's going on over here, despite the fact that they go to a place that either has murders, or of course, like caves that have danger and dangerous animals and monsters, and they're not afraid to go out and investigate the stories from the townspeople. And I don't know, a lot of us would be like, no, we're not going to. This guy brings his two kids and his best friend.
Well, now in later iterations of this IP, in the 90s series in particular, Aubrey is cosplaying as a character that's introduced in the 90s animated series, Race Bannon's daughter, who I think in the original 60 series is mentioned, but we never meet her. But we meet her in the 90s series as a computer super genius.
I apparently need to rewatch this series.
Yeah. What was her name, Aubrey?
Jessie
Bannon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 90s series, Haji and Johnny were 14 or 15 years old, so they were a little bit older. Mm-hmm. And I really feel like if they did a Jonny Quest live action movie where Johnny and Haji and Jessie were not children or not even teenagers, maybe late teens or early 20s, and that this was a true team of equals with Race and Dr. Benton, this could be a really cool live action adventure film that could really, I think, Dave Mattingly mentions here that he always figured that Jonny Quest was inspired by pulp heroes like Doc Savage and Flash Gordon. And yes, that is true. That is true. And that's part of what Aubrey was sharing with us. And I feel like those pulp heroes could be, if treated the right way, the next big thing in Hollywood blockbusters. We need a really great Doc Savage movie. Billy Zane is working on a sequel to The Phantom. I would love to see a not cheesy, really high quality Flash Gordon film. And Jonny Quest could fall right into that niche. If you go watch Dial of Destiny, you can see what a Jonny Quest movie could be like.
See, they would have to tread very lightly when it comes to Haji, though, I think.
Why?
So that they wouldn't either make him a joke with East Indian culture. I don't know.
If you cast an Indian actor, look,
Yeah.
Here in the
Right.
West,
Absolutely, yeah.
Here in the West, we are really weirdly uncomfortable by quote unquote stereotypes. But you know what? The Indian stereotype is only a stereotype here. In India, that is real life. That's how people talk. That is the religion. There is a caste system. And I have I have a good friend from India. And when I ask him if he gets offended by characterizations like Haji, we were talking specifically about Raj on Big Bang Theory, he's like, no, that's how my people are. That is how people from India are and live. So, if you honor,
Like, I would like to see. I would like to see a Jonny Quest movie, or a live action TV show, just not done the WB style as Riverdale.
First season of Riverdale was awesome. I lost track in the second, but
yeah, like I would love to see it actually bring more of Haji into the forefront and talk about his culture and talk about his story.
I mean, how cool would that be? That could be the impetus for the story, is his kidnapping and the murder of his parents. That's how the movie could start, right? The whole movie could start with a big Bollywood dance production number.
I'm interested now.
In the Royal Palace.
Johnny, we need to write this. We need to write the story.
And with Johnny, Bollywood starts the movie. I am in.
And it starts with Haji at 10 years old, and being abducted or maybe rescued, maybe saved by Johnny, by Race Bannon and Dr. Quest, and his family get murdered, and then the rest of the movie is like a hunt to find the assassins. It's like a familial revenge story or justice. Yeah.
Let's write it. Let's write it.
Right? Get on it now. Okay, so I do have a few things if we've got a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got a few interesting tidbits that I picked up. So Bandit wasn't originally going to be Bandit. Bandit was going to be a monkey or a white cheetah. Because they were tired of the boy next door with the dog. They wanted to stretch their legs. And since it was supposed to be gritty and espionage-y, it's supposed to be exactly what it is, like a cartoon for adults also. Yeah. There's too much death in there for it to be Scooby-Doo fun, Yeah. So Bandit was kind of argued with Doug, between Hanna-Barbera and Doug Wildey, because Doug didn't want to do it. Like, Doug was told, make this gritty, make this serious, make this intense. And then told, oh, but we need a little, like, funny cartoon dog. But he never saw, in all of his quotes, he loved the classic cartoons, like the Flintstones, other Hanna-Barbera classics, but he did not want Jonny Quest to be called a cartoon. He felt like it was more like a serious, like, radio mystery kind of exploration into what cartoons could be. And that beauty kind of transformed, like you said, the cartoon world after that. People started thinking of cartoons differently. Another thing is that the only artist that's different in this, they had people that did like the slides where you've got to copy the other artist and get it on the floor, right? Well, the only other piece of art that's not Doug Wildey's technically original is Bandit, because Bandit was done by a separate artist completely to give that kind of campy, funny feel, like Flintstone-y is what he called it. And that was Dick Beckenbach was actually Bandit's original artist. Also, a thing, Mexico, England, Japan, Italy, Spain, they all love Jonny Quest. Okay, they all have slightly different versions too. I will say I'm not a huge fan of the fact that England kind of almost erased Haji. So if you look back on there, the English version of it kind of skips over him a little bit. And that was a little concerning in a lot of the things that I saw about it. Some great things to go back to is that about 10 years ago, the building that Hanna-Barbera used, that all these artists practically lived in and, you know, ignored their family for, was made a historical building about 10 years ago. So that is really,
fantastic.
really cool. And one more thing. So Jonny Quest helped sell a lot of items. Of course, his predecessor before him was Jack Armstrong, and he was the first guy that encouraged Wheaties. You know, it was an American classic cereal. We're talking about cereal box here. And Jack Armstrong was the all-American boy, and he sold those Wheaties. Later on, Jonny Quest sold P.F. Flyer tennis shoes, which I did not know was a thing. I had never heard of P.F. Flyer tennis shoes.
Nor have I.
A magic ring. So you had a secret decoder ring with the P.F. Flyer tennis shoes. Right? Johnny's face. He's like, what?
I need this in my life right now.
This decoder ring still exists. You can actually find it in a few places. And it's pretty expensive. But he sold a paint palette, puzzles, comics, hats, bandanas, keychains, pocket knives. There is Jonny Quest pocket knives out there.
I have one actually.
Oh,
What?
Yeah. I have a pocket knife that was created. There were several different pocket knives, and the one that I have is it's got the artwork laid under the knife handle.
Oh,
I'll have to
that's so
find it.
cool.
Oh, okay. So I just found a picture of the Jonny Quest magic decoder ring, and wow, Flyer magic decoder ring. Let's see if I can bring this up because
It's pretty cool, guys.
this is awesome. Hold on, I'm going to bring this up because I had never heard of this until just this moment. This is exciting. Yeah, and you know what? I didn't even think to look at the merch and the ancillary stuff. So this is the decoder ring. That is super cool.
Apparently that center part spins and pulls out.
Oh, cool.
I need this.
Yeah. It's pretty good for kids our age back then. That was the stuff, man. If you had that decoder ring, you were the cool kid.
Well, so kids our age, so I was born in 70. So this show was before my time, but I used to see it in reruns. And that's why, you know, like I said at the top of the show, I was not a Jonny Quest fan as a kid because this show was so much more adult. As a matter of fact, I kind of found it boring when I was a kid. Watching it as an adult, I found it very exciting and very gripping. And, you know, you talked about the controversy with Bandit. And I didn't know that. I didn't do as much research as you did, Aubrey. Thank you. That's awesome. That's amazing. And so I didn't know that there was controversy about Bandit. However, I did notice watching this show that his animation style was definitely different. And now I know why. He was tacked on. And Bandit really served as a comic relief. Actually, he's a release valve. Because if you didn't have Bandit in the show, it would be super serious, very dark. And audiences, even today, still need to have that release valve. They need to have that moment of relaxation on the roller coaster. And that's what Bandit does.
I will say two more things really quick. The reason why this was ended is not because of violence. A lot of people on the internet, they're like, oh, it was because it was too violent for the time. But the truth is, it was so popular, it wasn't going to be changed. The violence wasn't going to be changed, but the money, it was the most expensive cartoon in existence in America at the time. So there was no way they could keep up with it. It was 100% the money. And the other amazing thing is that if you ever do decide to see the parody, the Venture Brothers, Johnny shows up in the show, because I've seen all Venture Brothers. I saw that before. I saw more of Jonny Quest, I will admit. But he shows up, and so does Race Bannon. And let me tell you, it's quite a moment. So you're going to have to look for that.
I'm going to have to watch that because I do like the Venture Brothers. I've not gotten like obsessed with them, but every episode I've seen, I've found very, very funny. We have some more comments here. Cartoon Commotion Kate Hawkins says, I could see some inspiration from this in Scooby-Doo. Absolutely. Especially what Aubrey was talking about with the backgrounds, the way the Jonny Quest backgrounds were oil paintings and really, I mean, Scooby-Doo carried on that tradition. If you watch Scooby-Doo and you go find frames of the background art, it is frameable museum quality artwork. It is fantastic. And Zentron, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. He says, LOL, I fell asleep during Dial of Destiny. Dial of Destiny was outstanding. It was unbelievable. And oh no, I'm not putting that comment up, Zentron. Nope, you're banned. That's it. No, I'm kidding. Dave Mattingly says, wouldn't it be great if there was an MCU style pulp crossover movie with Jonny Quest, the Phantom, Shadow, Flash Gordon, the Rocketeer, Green Hornet, and Indiana Jones? Yes.
That is a lot. That's a lot at once.
Yeah, and it is. And there's fan art of such a thing happening. However, it would never happen because all of those IPs are owned by different studios and different companies, and getting them together on the same page would be nightmarish. The last time anything like that happened was Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And yeah, I mean, we had all of the WB properties in Ready Player One and the Space Jam movies, but the last time we had that intercompany crossover was Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
So another tidbit really quick, Johnny.
Yeah, go ahead.
In the intro to Jonny Quest, if you look at the very end, there is some old footage from the original Jack Armstrong where they were suggesting it. The very end, they run it every intro in Jonny Quest. But that end part, that is from where they tried to pilot Jack Armstrong to Screen Gems. So that's old school.
What part are you talking about?
So when you hear the music start ending and everything, there is some clips right there at the end of Jonny Quest in the intro only before the episode officially starts, where those are just redone from something that was never actually published. Also, Chip Ballou was actually the name of Jonny Quest originally.
Oh, interesting.
Chip Ballou, if you look it up, was the actual first name, and Quest was taken out of the LA news, the phone book, the LA phone book. He said he thought it was a fun name, so he added Quest, but he just flipped pages in the LA phone book till he found it.
Well, thank God it's not Chip Ballou. That would suck. Now, Dave Mattingly has this great comment. If Race Bannon is Roger T. Bannon, I'll bet the T stands for Tiberius.
Maybe. Oh my God.
That would be neat.
That would be cool. And Kate Hawkins, Cartoon Commotion, says HB, Hanna-Barbera, always had always attempted to make tunes for all ages, and I've always loved that aspect of them. Yes. So Jonny Quest, the Flintstones, the Jetsons in particular were aimed at all ages, more adult, grown-up audiences. And I knew Cade was going to comment about this. Aubrey, great research. I dig it.
Thanks, Cade. I'm a fan.
And Cade also says, Johnny demonstrating live how Jonny Quest continues to sell PF flyers and decoder rings in this very day by saying, I need this in my life right now. That's good marketing. decades in the making. Yes, I've never even heard of PF Flyers. I don't even know what those shoes are. But if that's what I got to get that decoder ring, holy cow, those are going on my feet, baby. And so Cartoon Commotion also adds, the parody in Freakazoid is the best. Toby Danger says, and so Cade mentioned Scooby-Doo, and Race Bannon makes a cameo in Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc., which I believe is the superior Scooby-Doo TV series. So Jonny Quest and the Quest legacy lives on. Now we need to convince Warner Brothers. See, that's the problem. The IP is controlled by Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
Flood their inbox.
Yeah, but see, here's the problem.
You know what?
Warner Brothers gave us the Flash.
If we can stay away from the teen drama a bit and just have like an action adventure show, that like with a little bit of drama, but not too much that it becomes soap opera.
Well,
Please,
so
I agree.
and to get an idea of what Willow is talking about, WB did produce a modern Flash Gordon TV show on CW that was horrible. It was so bad. And if you want to see the damage that WB can do to a classic franchise, just watch
Riverdale.
Well, so there's debate about that, but yes.
Sorry, guys. I gave that show a chance for 3 seasons, and then I had to bail out.
Well, and Cartoon Commotion, Kate Hawkins says, Willow, you're trying to say, don't CW-fy it, please.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, but that's the problem is Warner Brothers, they have all of these great properties, and they just really, they are the epitome of a studio who only cares about the shareholders and the profits. They don't care about the franchises. They don't care about the fans. They don't care about honoring the spirit of the IPs that they own. They care about cranking out, I almost said crapping, cranking out product, content. I hate that word, content, for their shareholders. And fans are starting to recognize that. And that's why people have not gone to see The Flash. Do you know that this week they started offering buy one, get one free tickets for The Flash?
Oh, that's not good.
That's really bad. Really, really bad.
Like, I grew up watching Beverly Hills 90210. My husband is a huge fan of Gilmore Girls and all that.
Ooh.
I tried watching these kind of shows, and I just couldn't. There was other shows that I was watching at that time that the teen dramas I couldn't get into.
Well, I find it interesting that your husband is into Gilmore Girls. You need to have him listen to Crayley and Kelly's Gilmore Sisters podcast.
Oh, right.
Speaking of the Phoenix Sisters and Crayley, we have some special news about her. But before we do, any last comments, thoughts, ruminations about Jonny Quest? Willow?
It definitely is a show that we all should be giving a second chance to.
All right, Aubrey?
I think Hanna-Barbera knocked it out of the park, getting Doug Wildey in there. Thank goodness for Doug Wildey. He's an awesome, awesome, awesome artist. We need to remember that name and check him out. And I think it's a great introduction to America of Spy-Fi.
Spy-Fi. I love that term. That is fantastic. And a couple last comments. Dave Mattingly says, I don't think I've ever heard movie tickets going 2 for 1. Neither have I. And Cartoon Commotion says, right, because classics are art, not just content. We make content about art. So anyway, yeah, that's great. So speaking of Crayley Vanest and Phoenix Sisters, Gilmore Girls podcast, Crayley Vanest has an awesome company called Pokeballs by Crayley. And we have brought them on as a sponsor. So this show is sponsored in part by Pokeballs by Crayley. Check this out.
Pokemon love cereal. Hi, I'm Crayley from Pokeballs by Crayley. You probably recognize me from appearing on various shows on the Cereal Box Network. For the month of July 2023, I will be running a very special collection. I am teaming up with the network to do a special breakfast-themed collection. So go to CrayleyVaness.com, and featured right there on my store page is the breakfast collection, because Pokemon love breakfast. Most of them love it as much as Pikachu likes that ketchup bottle. You know what I'm talking about. So again, that's CrayleyVanest.com. Or you can hit the link in the description wherever you're finding this video.
You guys, if you've not seen those Pokeballs and the Pokemugs and the Pokebowls in person, the video, the pictures do not do justice. They are the coolest things. So if you are a Pokemon fan, run, don't walk, run to CrayleyVanest.com and get yourself some one-of-a-kind, handmade, none other like it, collectibles for your Pokemon collection. Dun, dun, dun. Very cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and foes, that brings us to the end of another episode. Oh, what is this? What did we put up here? Who put this up?
That is my play that I'm going to be in for starting July 19th. I'm going to be in La La Lunacy in the Winnipeg Fringe Theater Festival. I will get my tongue to work one of these days. We are going to be at the Forks Market, Market Ave, 174 Market Avenue, John Hirsch Main Stage, venue number 1. I am excited. My theater is All About Theater group, and if you guys make it to Winnipeg at all, come see me.
Well, and if you can't make it to Winnipeg, there is another great event, and I thought I put it up here too. And oh, here it is. So my show, Beyond Smoke and Mirrors, debuts July 22nd, and it will run July 22nd through December 16th at the Palace Theater in Gallatin, Tennessee. It is a Saturday afternoon matinee show. So it's 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. So you can have your breakfast cereal with us on Saturday, then come out and see Beyond Smoke and Mirrors. And it's magic, variety, music, a lot of fun for all ages. And it's over at 3, so it's a great opportunity to head down to one of the great restaurants on the square in Gallatin and have a late lunch, early dinner with the family. So Willow and I are both hitting the stage.
This is going to be my first Fringe Festival appearance, so I'm excited. Trying to stretch out my acting chops. Let's see.
I love it. I love it. And this is my first stage production since 2019.
Oh,
so
awesome.
Yeah, I've not been on a full stage since 2019. And if you follow my social media, Johnny Beyond, you will definitely see some video of the theater and rehearsals of what we're doing. It's me, Deborah Kadabra, and Ella Kazam. And we're going to have a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're in Winnipeg, go see Willow on stage. If you're in Middle Tennessee, come see me. And by the way, I'm still looking to cast 2 women for the ensemble. So if you're in Middle Tennessee and you want to jump up on stage and be a part of a retro, kind of a 1980s retro pop culture magic experience beyond smoke and mirrors, I would love to talk to you. And I'm looking for a volunteer to help us run sound.
Cool.
And so if you're out there and you want to come be a part of the tech crew as a volunteer, call me. Well, ladies, any last comments before we say farewell for this week?
Well, you guys have to tune in tomorrow because Cryptic Crunch is on tomorrow night. We are going to be talking about Camp Hero and the secret government facility that they did work. They kidnapped kids off the street and did all kinds of experiments on them, and these stories are actually inspired by Stranger Things.
Oh my gosh, I felt like something has inspired that. Okay, now I have to watch. I'm super excited.
So yes, the words are escaping my brain, but
that's
make
okay.
sure that you guys tune in tomorrow.
I will say that Kale Hollow, your co-host, she really wanted to tackle this theme, and like Aubrey has done deep dive and note taking, Kale has, like, I think she's gone to the nth degree of this topic. It's going to be epic.
I'm looking forward to this. Like, I've been listening to stuff off of YouTube and reading what I can for it because it's. I'm not one for conspiracy theories when they're false, but when they actually ring true, this is like blow your mind.
The Montauk experiments.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. So check that out. Cryptid Crunch tomorrow night, 8 p.m. right here on the Cereal Box Network. Your source for celebrating the fun of our youth. And a lot of people have asked me, Willow, why do you guys do a Cryptid Crunch show anyway? Because when we were kids, Sunday nights, that sitting down to watch In Search of or Mutual Kingdom, Jacques Cousteau's show. What was that called?
Anything Discovery Channel.
Yeah, it'll come to me. But in Search of with Leonard Nimoy was pure gold on Sunday nights, and that's what inspired Cryptid Crunch. And so Willow does a great job, and Kale does a great job, and Keisha does a great job. So tune in tomorrow night and see that. And Aubrey, what do you have going on this week? Where can people follow, find, and support you?
I am on Instagram at DonnieEvenK. You can check me out with doing my face painting. I do tarot readings. I also do a light photography. I show up as characters. Just hit me up and say hi. I'll message back anytime. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I am great at looking up stuff. I get a little nervous on camera, so thank you for having me once again. I hope to stick around, and I am very much into deep diving into Hanna-Barbera because though there is the occasional drama, they were groundbreaking in cartoons, and I was that girl who watched them Saturday morning also.
I love it, love it, love it, love it. You guys can follow, find, and support me at johnnybeyond.com. That has all of the details about the new project Beyond Smoke and Mirrors, and follow the show Back of the Cereal Box at backofthecerealbox.fun or cerealboxpodcast.com in the background. They'll get you to the same place. And if you like the show, share it, post a comment, whatever platform you're watching, subscribe so that you don't miss a single moment. And if you want to be a contributor and help us out, buymeacoffee.com/cerealboxpod. And with that, we are done. And I will say thank you, ladies, for being with us this morning. Thank you to our audience for tuning in. And don't forget to visit backofthecerealbox.fun. And until the next time, love you, mean it. We'll catch you on the back of the cereal box.